you know, when we talk about years, I used to look in black newspaper. That's years ago, we called it that. I would see this man, and because he was always in there, but it didn't look like the same guy. But he comes back again, and he's on the bar, and he's doing it again and again and again, and he will be our leader in a way that we now need it badly, and I'm very thankful that he's here.
C.T. Vivian. Certainly last but not least, C.T. Vivian brought Reverend Jackson into the movement in Selma. And Reverend Jackson and William Jones brought me into the movement. Reverend Jackson was appointed by Dr. King, head of Operation Breadbasket. And William Jones, who we memorialize here, was the head of Greater New York chapter. And they turned corporations from their policies of exclusion.
Yes. Yes.
He revolutionized the concept of where it was a one-sided economic arrangement where it was all profit and no investment, no contracts, no board members. He built an economic infrastructure that supported black media. In our media panel the other day, I talked about how we no longer have the radio stations, the newspapers we had. He built that as a bedrock, because if it wasn't a WVON, we'd have never had Harold Washington. If it wasn't a WLIB, we would have never had a David Dinkins. And he strategically did that. He expanded Dr. King's movement nationally. Dr. King was a global figure with a regional organization. Reverend Jackson helped to bring it north and organize and make it national. And when I was a kid, when I was 12, 13, they used to call him the country preacher. His sister called me today and said that Reverend doesn't have a suit. They lost his luggage. He just came in from Winnie Mandela's funeral. It says that he doesn't have a suit. He's going to have to wear a safari suit. I said, well, I never saw him in a suit and tie until I was about 16. He used to show up country. He used to dress like that all the time. He came in with a suit and tie. I almost didn't let him in Reverend Jones' office. I didn't know who he was. He ran for president in 84 and 88 against all odds. Registered more voters than any Democrat. Set the rules that led to Barack Obama. He has done so much for so many. Whether it was raising Mandela when no one would raise it in those presidential debates, whether it was raising the idea of equal educational opportunities, whether it was corporate, as I said, accountability. He has manned that rock in the weary land. There were so many that took vows last week with Dr. King's day of assassination. But he was the only one still alive that Dr. King was talking to when the bullet hit. And I often think about how only the grace of God could have kept him going, to have seen that trauma and still not turn around and not back up, to take unfair criticism, to be marginalized by those you made mainstream. People sit in newsrooms that you put in the newsroom and write you out your own story. But somehow he kept going. And somehow he keeps going. And we wanted on this 50th anniversary more than anyone to know that if no one remembers us, who brought us in the King movement, who brought and tied in Brooklyn and tied in LA and tied it all together. Even in Malcolm's town, where we were told you couldn't follow King, we followed Jesse. And we honor him today as our remembering 50 years of King, because he made King relevant to us. May you join us in honoring the founder and president of the Rainbow Push Coalition, the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson.
Good afternoon. Let me express how delighted I am, with joy I feel, being the presence again of Reverend Al Sharpton. My mother used to say on her dying bed, he ain't what he used to be, baby. He's little, he used to call him Big Al, he's Little Al now. But you know, because of his age, Al did not spend the time with Dr. King. But Paul didn't spend the time with Jesus. The room where all of the other disciples put together. Dr. King would find joy in a very special way in the work of Reverend Sharpton. He's tireless, he's smart, determined, courageous, effective, and successful. You who are close, don't take him for granted. Minister here today, let's give him an amen, give him an amen. On your feet, show your love for Reverend Sharpton. On your feet, on your feet. Say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. This is a kind of homecoming for me in many ways. Today been around Brother Al and the shadow of Bishop Washington and Reverend Jones. Dr. King sent me to New York to organize Breadbasket, and I met Reverend Jones. He told me to come by his house. He was a big old 6'6", deep talking man, Great Scott. I went by his house on President, and his wife came to the door. She was about 3 feet high and very petite. I said, darling, please get your father to the house. She said, I'm his husband. I'm his wife. Miss Jones, please stand, give her a hand. She looked like she was 3 feet 3 beside Bill, who was 6'6". So one of my memories up today, another of my memories is that Zanona Clayton is a very erudite lady. Use big words, pontificate, stuff like that.
Big words.
I first met her in church. She was caught in the crossfire. I would never let her be relieved from. She flew, she had her own TV show. It was so rare, so fine, so smart, so tough. Mine, tender heart. She had flown overnight on the red eye to get to Atlanta to see Dr. King preach that Sunday morning. We came out together, and Dr. King got up and said, well, today, I'm not going to preach. But one of my staff members preached today, a young man. She looked, she said, shit. She tried to contain it. I looked her right in the mouth when she said, She was sitting beside Leon Lewis, John Lewis's wife. I saw it. She can't deny it. So know to say amen. So know to say amen. Don't lie at all you Christians. Say amen. Reverend C.T. Pippin, I was in seminary trying to finish my work, and we would talk on the phone every day. He was in Selma, and I was trying to buy time to finish that semester. He was said, "You wait a while longer." So after that Sunday hit on the bridge, he called that night and said, "You got to come on." So the next day we hit the road, and we went. Reverend C.T. Pippin was a masterful organizer, preacher, theologian, communicator. Even though he's going to catch a big hand for Reverend, 94 years old, a big hand for Reverend C.T. Pippin. As Al said, we just got in a few minutes ago from South Africa, went there to honor the life of Winnie Mandela. With your sisters in New York, especially to have these services to honor Winnie. I went to South Africa in 1979. Mandela and Mbeki and Sisulu and that group, they were in jail. Tombo and Mbeki and that group, they were out of jail, they were in exile. One voice in that darkness was that of Winnie Mandela. Before we even knew Nelson Mandela, there was Mandela's heart was beating. It was Winnie's heart. She took the heat. She was banned. She spent a year and a half in solitary confinement. We felt the need to go and visit her. Let me give you just a brief report because there are such parallels in our struggle. We both endured slavery, stage one. We both endured Jim Crow, or segregation, they called apartheid, stage third, the right to vote. But now they have come out of slavery as we have. Out of segregation as we have, the right to vote as we have, but they're at the fourth stage. There are 55 million people in South Africa today. About 10 million are white. Blacks in South Africa are freer, and whites are richer. They negotiated for the right to be free, not for the right of equality. They're free, but South Africa today is a black ocean, the white island in the middle of the ocean. All the investment comes into the island. 60 Mercedes-Benz dealerships in South Africa. Not one black South African has one. Toyota dealership. They have the name on the airport. It used to be Smuts Airport, so now it's the name of Oliver Tambo. They're in charge of the airport without one airplane. The name outside of the shipyard without one ship. If you go from picking cotton balls or picking footballs, on the stadium, that's the next stage that's involved. So beyond slavery, beyond Jim Crow, beyond the right to vote, access to capital, industry, technology, and deal flow. That's this day. See, we had a black president. These ghettos are still abandoned. 54% of all African Americans make less than $15 an hour. The other 46% make more than 15, but they're dead slaves. They make more, but they spend more than they make. Repeat, if you spend more than you have and vote less than you have, that's suicide. If you vote less than you have and spend more than you have, that's suicide. Wise people must spend less than they make and vote all that they can. For example, now, the 4 million blacks in the South today are unregistered, 4 million unregistered. The ex-slave states still have the power to free the rest of us. 4 million blacks in the South today are unregistered. 2.5 million registered who didn't vote. the 2.5 million, that's who elected Trump. The 4 million high school seniors today are eligible to register and vote. If they vote in addition to marching about the killing in Parkland, Florida, they can have a new Congress. Not only will it make Miss Pelosi Speaker of the House, it'll make the black chairman of the committee. There'll be about 15 black chairman of committees. That's really what's at stake, because if we take the Congress back, Maxine Waller will be chair of the House Finance Committee.
Hello?
Well, what's at stake is not just what it will do for Nancy Pelosi. If we take the House back, we have about 15 black chairmen of committees because they have seniority. And so, my friends, I want to express my thanks for this award, and Al, really for our kinship and our friendship of all of the time I've spent with my own 2 sons. I maybe spent more time with Al than any of them because of our, Yusef says, our spiritual connection. It's not by blood, but by spirit. Yeah. And I want to thank him for standing with me and my family down through the years and recognizing our struggle. There's no other movement in America like NAN today. Nothing like NAN in the country. When Dr. King came back, his first stop would be right here. You are his people. You are his organization. You are his style of organizing. Al will fly to Sacramento in the morning to fly to preach somebody else who got killed and right back to New York the next night. He's tireless, and God has blessed him to have strength, courage, character. And I want to say to you, Al, when I first met you, I was 25 or something. You were about 24 yourself. I was 25 and Al was 12. I've been blessed to keep going. 1960, I was with Dr. King in conversation when he was killed. I went to jail in 1960, 57 years ago, trying to use a public library. The day he gave the speech in Washington from Florida across to Maryland, we couldn't use a single toilet. We couldn't take pictures in the lawn of the state capitals. Black and Latino soldiers had to sit behind Nazi prison wall on an American military basis in 1963. And since that time, we've made tremendous progress. But we've never lost a battle we fought, and never won a battle unless we fought. And when we fight, great things come our way. If we do not self-destruct through drugs and liquor and violence, if we do not self-degrade. It's one thing to be degraded by the enemy, but to self-degrade is suicide. If we believe that strong minds break strong chains, of all the values Dr. King had, one of them was education. He finished high school at 15. He finished college at 19. He finished seminary at 22. He finished PhD at 26. Strong minds break strong chains. And when you do this kind of work, Al, you don't always get the recognition you deserve. But it has to not matter to you. Because if you get what you deserve, you don't deserve it. And if you deserve it, you won't need it. As if you get what you deserve, you don't need it. And I've just been able, blessed to see a lot across these years. Spent a few nights in jail here and there, traveling around the world. The doctor told me a few days ago I had Parkinson's, which is an incurable disease by their standards, except I know somebody who can cure it. That doesn't bother me too much, except because I've been blessed. Born to a teenage mother on Haynes Street, Greenville, but couldn't be born in a hospital for white people. Mama teenager, her mama was a teenager. Never knew my daddy. Jesse Jackson's my third name. I'm a doctor. I've seen a lot though. I saw the Great Wall of China. I've been to Japan. I've slept in the White House. I've traveled the oceans, all the continents. But I've not seen the righteous forsaken. Never seen. Hold on. Hold on. Forward by hope. Not back. Hold on. till the morning comes.
Reverend Jesse Jackson. I got a surprise for Jennifer Silver's home. Right, McKee brought, we brought the Piperettes. They used to be the ones that would get us going in Saturday morning bread basket. That's where I learned to do Saturday Action Rally. We'd have them in from Chicago. They were Ben Branch, who headed the bread basket band. They used to call him the Pied Piper. He was standing with Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jackson introduced him to Dr. King when he was killed, as he was being killed. And Dr. King said, yeah, I remember Ben, Jesse, tell him to do Precious Lord, and their bullet went off. The Piperettes was named after him, the Pied Piper. And they're here to give a tribute and song to Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Woo-hoo. I'm so full right now.
Come on and walk with us just for a moment. As we take you on a journey into living history, your grandparents' history, your mom and dad's history, your history, and the history of this country. And we bring you this history through music because we're singers. And we tell our stories through songs. Rockets, moonshots, spinning on the have-nots. Money, we make it. For we see it, you take it. Ooh, it makes me wanna holler the way they do my life. It makes me wanna holler the way they do my life. This ain't living. This ain't living. This ain't living. This ain't living. No. No, 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 no. Inflation, no chance to increase finance. Bills pile up, sky high. Set that boy off to die. Oh, it makes me wanna holler and throw up both my hands. It makes me wanna holler and throw up both my hands. This ain't living. This ain't living. This ain't living. This ain't living. No, 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 no,
This
no.
ain't living.
So what do we do when we see these images come right into our house? What do we do? How do we react? I know. Love
Love
is the answer.
is the answer.
Love is the answer.
Is the answer.
Love.
My name is Brenda Yeager. I was born in Mobile, Alabama, raised on a farm in Locust Street. When I got about 15, I went back to Mobile, took a bus ride downtown on Government Street. When I got there, I was so thirsty that all I wanted to do was drink. I ran to the first water fountain I saw, and I hear this little Caucasian boy say, "Mama, that nigger's about to drink out of our water fountain." And the mother says, "Oh, you can't drink out of this water fountain, baby. Yours is in the back." Well, I knew conditions like that, I had to move up and get there. I mean, I had to go on it. So I left Alabama and went to Chicago, and there I met Patty Emily.
I met Brenda at an Operation Breadbasket choir rehearsal.
Woo-hoo.
Now, I didn't experience racism the way that she did, but you better believe that racism was in Chicago. I remember walking the picket line with my mama protesting the Willis wagons for the Board of Education. And when Dr. King came to Chicago to march, he said that Chicago was one of the most racist places that he'd ever been to. More racist than any place in the South.
That's right.
So we joined the choir And it was a 100-voice choir with a 21-piece orchestra. And Reverend Jackson was given the job to head the economic arm of SCLC.
Reverend Jackson organized Operation Breadbasket, where they would bring in work, jobs, business opportunities for black businessmen and bringing that money back into the country and to the community.
And we helped elect the nation's first African-American mayors and congressmen. We went knocking on doors to get people out to vote. We sang on flatbed trucks in the rain to get folks out to vote. And now this is not something that somebody told us about. This is something that we did because we were there. There was Carl Stokes,
Richard Hatcher, Perrin Mitchell, Kenneth Gibson of New Jersey.
And we did that because we were there.
Right along with Reverend.
We were standing there with the picket sign.
Yes.
We were there, smack dab in the middle.
Oh, yeah. We were there. Oh, yes, we were. Standing in the middle of it.
Oh, we were there, yeah. Down in the thick of it, hand in hand together, walking side by side. We were there, doing what we had to do
To keep a dream alive.
yeah.
To keep the dream alive.
Young, gifted, and black.
We were straight out of our mama's house.
Our courage intact.
We knew time was now. Saturday morning meetings, Chicago Southside. And if we didn't have a car,
Well, we sure knew how to hitch a ride, 'cause we were there,
standing in the middle of it,
we were there,
down in the thick of it,
ooh, hand in hand together, walking side by side. We were there, doing what we had to do
to keep a dream alive.
yeah, yeah, to keep the dream alive. And this is what would happen every Saturday. Ben and the band would play Precious Lord, Take My Hand. And then the choir would sing down by the riverside. We'd rock the house of homecoming man. Afros, high dashikis down, nothing could hold us back. Our faded jeans made the scene, 'cause we sure knew where it's at. 'Cause we were there, standing in the middle of it. We were there, down in the thick of it, hand in hand together, walking side by side. We were there, doing what we had to do
To keep a dream alive. Oh, to keep the dream alive.
You were right there. This is what we doing. We'd be walking, talking, singing, swinging, standing, demanding that we make a change.
And every Saturday morning, Reverend would walk up to that podium and he'd give us a mantra to repeat over and over until we could see it and keep it in our minds. We spoke it to the universe. I am
Somebody,
I am
somebody.
I may be poor,
I may be poor,
but I am
but I am
somebody.
somebody.
I may be on welfare,
I may be on welfare,
but I am
but I am
somebody.
somebody.
I may be unskilled,
I may be unskilled,
but I am
but I am
somebody.
somebody.
I am
I am
black,
Black,
beautiful,
beautiful,
proud,
when I'm standing up for a change. I have a faith and determination, change the course of history. I know I can make a difference just by showing up as me. 'Cause I am somebody. You can't tell me that I'm not. I am somebody. I can change the world, but I am somebody. You can't tell me that I'm not. I am somebody. I can change the world, but I am. Now there was Rosa, there was Malcolm, there was MLK, saying it out loud. There was a soulful sound of James Brown telling us to be black and proud. And country preacher inspired the pride for the right. He taught me how to give a damn, because we are the children of the Most High, the great I am, 'cause I am somebody. You can't tell me that I'm not. I say I am somebody. I can change the world, but I am somebody. You can't tell me that I'm not. I am somebody. I can change the world, but I. Now this presentation we take to schools all over the United States. And we want to tell our youth that this is what we did and this is what you got yet to do. That's right. We want to thank Al Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton, for inviting us today. Oh, I love you so much. We want to thank our mentor, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for starting us on our way. Thank you so much.
Correct.
Thank
Right,
you.
correct.
God bless you.
Right, correct.
I'm Patty Henry. This is
Brother Leader.
Thank you.
50 years after Dr. King's, let us bow our heads in prayer. Let us pray. 50 years later, we're still standing. There is ministers who are here today to recommit the proposition of faith and finance. A lot of work will be done this year. Lord, have mercy upon us and see us through. Amen. Let me ask ministers to do one thing, just if you may. Many of you here today, through your personal, through your church, can give at least $1,000 to the National Action Network now. You can pledge it now. We said 4 million people to be registered. We cannot get a grant from Trump to register 4 million blacks. Talk to me, somebody. We can get a grant from Ford Foundation anymore to get a vote for this here. If we invest in it, we get the benefit from our investment. If you will commit at least $1,000 to National Action Network, raise your hand. If you make the, that's the urban home, if you give it, raise your hand. Come down there right quick, a little bit of hurry, but we can't run this money. Come down, your hands up, get up on your feet, come down there right. At least $1,000 pledge or check today. The envelopes are here today. Come down right quick. Urban Homes, get up. I see you standing. You give at least $1,000. Give it or raise it. Come down. And your people give. You just ask them. Just ask them. They give you all they're going to give you. They give something else. You commit at least $1,000. Many of you can give it or raise it. McCann, he has money. Bill Jones' daughter, she has money. I said, but where's your daddy? She said, that nigga was my husband. You commit at least $1,000. Please stand. Come quickly. Don't look at me like something wrong with me. Come quickly. At least $500. Stand. At least $500. Don't let the spirit of can't possess you. Let the spirit of will do it now. Well, Thompson, you have a good job. Come on down. You finally have you're employed finally. Pastor, come on down. At least Reverend Scott. Please come quickly. Please come quickly. At least $500. Come quickly. I'm going all the way down to food stamp applications, so it ain't like you're getting missed or nothing. At least 250. At least 250. Shh. At least 250. It takes money to do what we're going to do between now and October. Couldn't have that $4 million down to 2 so we can put Trump on out back up here and selling a hotel room. It's going to cost at least 250 or more. Please come quickly. Brother, 250 or more. 250 or more. You give to some of you sisters. I know y'all got money. I know y'all got money. At least 250. At least $100. National Action Network. $100. Please stand. Just stand wherever you are. Let somebody at your table be the captain. At your table, let somebody be the captain. You give these $100, please stand. Some of y'all here at Social Action Sunday. Bring that too. We're going to complete this process.
Reverend Holmes, $1,000. All of you that have a check can hand it to our chairman. If you are pledging, just let him know when, and I will have our gang member committee pick them up on the day that you say. Sisters in the Struggle, $1,000.
Nice.
All right. We're going around and find out. Anybody else? Come right up to the chairman. Pledge or cash or check. Richmond Chapter Nan, 100. Come on, come on, come on.
Don't shout any higher than you live. Shh. Don't shout any higher than you live or give. Everybody can give something. Everybody can give something. Don't wait. Give as you've been blessed. You might give more than 1,000. Please come forward. Everybody, please come forward. And come quickly and enjoy your heart. Thank you, Brother Scott. See you, Scott. You had a bunch of zeros behind you. One. I like that. 1, 10 zeros.
We getting ready to go. I want Jennifer Jones Austin to come, and we're going in. Didn't we enjoy Reverend Jackson? Head on into Chicago. Let's pray for his strength and pray for his health.
We've had a glorious time.
Before she do that, let me remind everybody on April 26th, we'll be in Tallahassee with Reverend Holmes at the Remembrance, Restoration, and Rededication. And that's National Coalition for Churches for the Remembrance, Restoration, and Rededication. I'll be there along with others, Bishop Richardson, and of course Reverend Holmes calling us in, Ben Crump, Martin Luther King III, all of us, please, that can meet us in Tallahassee.
Good afternoon. I asked Reverend Sharpton if when praying, Reverend Jackson gave the benediction, and I believe he did, but I just want to close us out with a word of thanks. Thanks to all of you for being here. Every year, Reverend Sharpton, this convention and this luncheon goes another round higher and higher and higher. We're so appreciative for you all. My family is so appreciative to all of you for keeping my father's legacy and his living alive, not just by being present, but actually carrying on the work of social justice. And I am eternally indebted to Reverend Sharpton for continuously pouring into me. This afternoon, I kept thinking to myself that the politicians have turned preachers up here. And as I thought about that, I thought about how my dad would often admonish those who came and said to him, "I enjoyed your preaching, Pastor." That it's one thing to be in the church and to be filled with the Spirit, but if you're not also convicted, if you don't also feel challenged to take a look at yourself and be reflective and think about how you're showing up, then the preacher hasn't done his job. We've done the job here today. Yes, you've been entertained. You've heard great singing. You've heard great speeches. You've heard sermons/speeches. But if you have not been convicted or challenged to look at yourself and think about how you're showing up in these challenging times, we haven't done our job. So we need to step up our game, go out there and do the work that needs to be done, just as the leaders who've come before us have told us today. Thank you all for being here. Let us go forth. Let's do God's work. Let's lift up the kingdom. Bye-bye. And I forgot to tell you, if you haven't gotten my book, you're more than welcome to see me, and we can make sure. It's a book about journeying through life and experiencing challenges, and experiencing the presence of God in the moment. Consider it pure joy. I did my job, Rachel.
This is going to be taped. I think we just got that.
Find out. Morning. I'll talk to you later, all right? No, my phone died, so I'll reply back. Thank you so much. Let's go.
I want to say to you that in the next room, something's very important going on. Let me give me your attention just a minute. When you talk about making action, we have a panel next door that's about mobilization. We don't want the church to miss out being mobilized for this November election. That's what this is all about. We can sing and pray and talk, but if we don't pull out the vote in November, we'll be in the same shape next year. So let's please go over to the panel. Some exciting presentations, some great information following up to this luncheon is in the room next door.